Good evening. It is 6 o'clock. It is March the 2nd. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Menifee Parks, Recreation, and Trails Commission. Please bear with us tonight. This is the first time we've done a paperless meeting. This is a new system which is just being introduced. We've been practicing for the last hour before this meeting began, and we need a lot more practice yet. So hang in there with us, and we'll try to make this as painless as possible for everyone, including those of us up here. So at this time, I'd like to ask for the roll call.
Commissioner Holcomb,
Here.
Commissioner Zimmerman,
Here.
Commission Chair Gidroyce,
Here.
Commission Vice Chair Croy,
Here.
Commissioner Rosen.
Here.
Very good, thank you. And I'd now like to ask Commissioner Zimmerman to please lead us in the flag salute.
Certainly, my pleasure. Please stand up, folks. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any presentations tonight?
Yes, we do.
Great. And Jason, you're going to tell us about it?
Thank you, Chair, and members of the Commission. It's my honor this evening to present several certificates to our champions from the Junior NBA Skills Competition, which was held on Saturday, February 18th in a partnership with the Boys and Girls Club of Menifee. It was a great morning of, actually, great afternoon of basketball action. All the individuals that are advancing on are here today. They'll be representing Menifee at the next level, which is the regional tournament on March 18th in Los Angeles. The great news is if they go past that, they'll be going on to the national finals in New York. So we want to wish all of our athletes great luck as they move forward, and we'll call them up one by one to be recognized. If we could have the commission come up and present the certificates, and then if we could please have everybody pause for a group photo at the end, we would really appreciate that as well. Okay, first up, Ryan Schubert. Get out of the way. Stand over here. Next up, we have Robert Stewart. I also wanted to mention that these certificates, there's one from the city, and there's also a really cool one from the Junior NBA, and it's actually signed by Commissioner Adam Silver. So a cool little certificate to take home and keep. Timothy Harris. Janae Harris. Michael Mosanto. And last but not least, Tristan Keplinger. And as we're posing for the group photos, if we get all the athletes here in front of the commissioners for a group picture real quick for us, please. Also, I wanted to send a special thank you to Commissioner Bill Zimmerman, who was there assisting that morning. Once again, that afternoon, he did a great job helping out with the different skills competitions and was there till the very end, and I really appreciate the assistance. No, you got it. I'm all right. Thank you. All right. So once again, congratulations and good luck on March 18th in the next round.
Congratulations once again to everyone. Good job. And that brings us on to item number 5, approval of the meeting minutes for February the 16th, 2017. Do we have a motion to approve?
Yeah, I'll move, or I'll second. Did somebody move?
Somebody must have moved. And we have a second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And it didn't come up on the screen, but motion, there we go. Motion carried. Thank you very much. And the next item up on the agenda is, stop moving, agenda approval or modification. Do we have any modifications or changes? Seeing none, our agenda is approved. What? Okay, and that brings us on to item number 7, public comments, non-agenda items only. Do we have any speakers tonight?
We do not.
We do not. Okay, then that'll bring us up to the next item, which is discussion items. And we have under that number, oops, what happened?
That's right, 8.1.
8.1, Menifee Heights. And they get more detail on it. Menifee Heights Specific Plan 247 Quimby Agreement. And Mr. Lennox, would you like to go into that with us?
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, Commission Chair and Commissioners. It's my pleasure to bring before you, I think, the second Quimby agreement that this body has had the opportunity to recommend for approval. It's great to see that these projects are moving forward, and this one in particular, because as you might recall, your first review of this, not only for the park conceptual design, but also for the streetscapes, was presented by applicant CV Communities probably a little over a year ago. And so since that time, this project has been sold to a merchant builder, Party, and so Party is committed to continuing the project forward and being the merchant builder for all tracks within this community. So with that said, on the screen is a picture or image of the park design that you had previously seen. I should note that CV Communities did get the working drawings partially submitted for this, but of course the conceptual design was already approved, as well as the final map. So before you this evening is a recommendation for the City Council to authorize the City Manager to execute a Quimby agreement with Party Homes for satisfaction of the Quimby requirements for Menifee Heights track map number 32277. I do want to highlight that this is one of the projects that would comply with the current Quimby ordinance that does allow for banking of the excess park credits. As you all know, there was a motion there was an approval recommendation by this commission to the Planning Commission to delete that section of the ordinance. Now we're really just up against a waiting game and timing before that gets considered by the Planning Commission on the 22nd of March, and then on to the City Council for a first and second read. Of course, this application is in now and are requesting a processing of the Quimby agreement for execution. In that light, the second circle around the project site represents the 2-mile radius. That is the area in which this applicant would be able to bank credits and use toward in qualifying projects that are within that radius. It does not obviously extend beyond the city boundary, so it's really half of what you see on the screen, not the larger circle, but the medium middle circle. That essentially is the extent of the presentation. It just codifies that they've successfully met the Quimby requirement, and that they believe have about a little over 2 acres that they can use bank toward projects in that 2-mile radius.
2 or 4? I thought it was 4.
Their excess is what you're asking? Yeah, you know what? I think you might be correct.
It was like 4.5.
Yes, it is 4.5. Yes. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
So presently, they're within the letter of the law,
Yes,
and they have every right to therefore proceed this way.
yes.
Are there any comments on this? Commissioner Croy.
Yes, a quick question. So Pardee has taken over this, so Pardee will be getting the Quimby credits, correct, not CBE?
That's correct.
Okay. The other question I had too is that half of that 2-mile radius is out of Menifee, so basically they're ending up with, will they be able to go to the county and request that? Does the county have a similar?
No, the county wouldn't essentially honor any credits that are banked with the city. So
Okay.
they have an even smaller area where they can bank.
The other thing too is, in reading this, I think the developer should be commended. It seems like it's at unit 125, the park is to be there.
That's correct.
That's excellent.
Yes.
Nice to see that instead of 398.
Yes.
And next speaker is, I think Commissioner Rosen, were you going to speak?
I withdrew it.
Okay, in that case, Commissioner Zimmerman.
Thank you. So I was noticing in the staff report that it says that Pardee Homes or its successor, so does that mean it can be sold to another development within that 2-mile radius?
Successor means that if for any reason Pardee is not able to complete the construction of the 3 tracks that are within this development, then whoever is who purchases the project would then be, this agreement is transferable to them. Now the credits for whatever's been banked and or I guess for lack of a better term, cashed out, that remaining balance would then transfer over to the new owner.
But that, I guess my question is the credits can be sold to a completely different developer. It doesn't need to only be used by Pardee or the successor.
That's correct. But whoever they sell it to, it can only be applied to projects within the radius.
Thank you.
Yes.
Commissioner Rosen.
For how long?
In perpetuity, it's actually as long as the map is good. So if the map expires, then the agreement is then nullified, and they'd have to do a new agreement and new map. They'd have to start the process all over again.
Therefore, if the law were to be changed, they would not be able to apply this, or would it be grandfathered in for them?
I'm sorry, which law?
The law that we have made the recommendation to rescind.
As long as this is executed and the map is still current, then it is still, they are still eligible for it.
Right.
But if the map were to expire before the law changes, which we know isn't going to be the case, it is going to change before any expiration, then yeah, they would lose out.
Okay. Commissioner Zimmerman.
Thank you. One last question, just for edification purposes. You had mentioned Assembly Bill 1359. Can you just give us a little update on what that is?
I'm sorry, can you direct me to where you're reading that?
Page 2.
Oh, there we go.
And
Yes.
about halfway down.
Yes. Yeah, so this is part of the Quimby Act, is that we, as a city, any municipality or agency, is required to assign some credit for excess dedication. It leaves that determination up to the agency so long as they've codified the amount of that credit as part of their municipal code. That's all that essentially says.
And then just real quickly, on page 3, there's a couple of very minor spellings, but I just want to make sure that gets caught before it gets too much farther along. In the second paragraph, it says public sue instead of public use. And also in the 4th paragraph, same thing. We don't want the public to sue us. We want them to use it. But anyway, that's just for the clerk.
Thank you.
And I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments? Hearing none. We don't need a motion on this. We're making a recommendation only. Is that correct?
You do have to motion and second and vote upon the recommendation to City Council.
Okay, so do we have a motion to do that?
So moved.
And a second?
Looks like you got one
Okay.
from Altie.
In that case, any further comment, or we're ready to vote? Okay, let's have a vote, please. Okay, the motion is adopted. Thank you. That'll bring us then on to the next agenda item, which is capital improvement program updates.
Thank you, Chair. If you can pull up the PowerPoint for, and I'm going to apologize ahead of time because I think there's some pieces of this are maybe out of sync with what was on the screen versus what's in the new system. So we'll do the best we can here to get through it step by step. I'll start out with the Parks in Progress. That there is no notable change in a lot of the activity. Other than that, on the Evans Park site, we do have a land acquisition in process for the two smaller parcels that are immediately north of the city-owned parcel near the intersection of Craig and Evans. Those are intended to go to City Council for approval of the sales agreement at the next council meeting on the 15th. And then we are in negotiations now with the property owner for the larger parcel north of those two, which would follow hopefully at the next meeting after that. We did finish the phase one environmental review, and there was no notable comments from those about any concerns on any three of those parcels. I would highlight there was only a comment about the larger parcel housing a mobile home once in the past. So there was a foundation, and then there was a clarifier on site, which is typically used for degreasing commercial sites, but the consultant believes it had been used as a residential septic system. And as such, there is no concern about mitigating it when the site is developed for parkland.
So we don't have to test to see if a septic system has ever been there?
No, it's the clarifier is actually more confined than a traditional septic system. So there aren't elaborate leach lines or anything else. It's actually kind of like a vault. You simply pull it out of the ground.
Okay, great.
And so there's no additional updates on this. We are waiting for a couple of new plan checks to come in on some of these parks like PA 6C as they are ready to start construction, as well as the Hidden Hills Park, which is just fine-tuning some of their precise grading that was overlooked during their working drawing review. So we're very close to those as well.
I got a question on this page, unless you're moving on.
No, feel free, sorry.
On number 22, Fleming Ranch, I think that's coming to Planning Commission in a workshop. Have we been talking to them about what their park plan might entail?
To some extent, it's been some time since they've called a meeting of all the departments involved. I think the workshop is intended for them to get more clarification from Planning Commission on what they'd like to see in the specific plan. So normally, each department won't get more involved until there's a formal application submitted. So we're waiting and hoping. The feedback to the developer maybe a little less than a year ago was we'd like to see the larger parks instead of several smaller parks. And as I understand, they are attempting to fulfill that request. So we will see what they submit.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Lennox. Now we're up to 9.2 Recreation Division Report.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just a couple brief updates here. For February, we did have a open house at Lazy Creek After School program, which was well attended. It was a great opportunity for parents to sign up early for some of the upcoming programming. Our Youth Advisory Committee had a very busy month of February. On February 18th, they attended an anti-bullying summit in the city of Fontana, along with several other youth organizations, and brought back some great info. They've actually decided that they want to run their own anti-bullying event next year, so we're going to be planning ahead for that, and there's more news to come in the special events section for that. They'll also be working with Operation Prom Dress to assist an organization in securing dresses for young ladies that cannot afford a prom dress, so that'll be something they'll do to finish off the year. Lazy Creek continues to sell out for Tiny Tots. Our contract classes have picked up as well. We're really excited. We just started a new gymnastics class today, actually. We had 15 kids in there, so that was exciting to see that new class come to fruition. And then on our athletic fields, our baseball leagues are now officially in full gear, so pretty much any evening you go by Audie Murphy Ranch Sports Park, you're going to see teams utilizing the field for baseball or softball. And then, of course, as we mentioned previously, our junior NBA skills competition was held in partnership with the Boys and Girls Club of Menifee. Big shout out to John Wan and his staff there, and Bill Zimmerman, Commissioner Zimmerman again for the assistance. It was a really good event. I thought over 60 participants there, and just a good group of athletes, good kids, and everything went very, very smoothly. So we're looking forward to further partnerships with the Boys and Girls Club. And you'll see here our Recreation Division report, another successful month in terms of the revenue. A big increase in our athletic field permits, again, because of the baseball groups getting their league started. Lazy Creek continues to do well. And again, our contract classes are continually rising in terms of participation.
That brings us then up to item 9.3, special events update.
Okay, back again. So some of you were able to attend the skate park reopening last night at Audie Murphy Ranch Skate Park. We do have some exciting news that's still a little bit of a work in progress, but I wanted to at least bring it out to you, and that's that the group that we partnered with for the grand reopening, Destiny Skate Project, has indicated that they're interested in continuing on and being a partner with us to offer monthly free skate events at the skate park. It'll be games, competitions, giveaways, food. They're going to be soliciting some donations from local businesses. It will be at no cost to the city. It'll be just a partnership, basically. We'll be bringing to the commission a contract for you to review to then go on to city council to make that official. But we're very excited to partner with them. I thought they did a great job running the competitions yesterday and was able to take on a large role for that as well. So the first one are slated to kick off on Friday, March 23rd. So look for more information on that. Our Spring Fest event will be Saturday. That's actually Saturday, April 8th from 9 to 12 at La Ladera Park. And then we have Menifee Better Together. If you have anybody in your communities that's looking for some volunteer hours, please have them go to justserve.org to register. We have several projects this year, and we're looking for over 600 volunteers. I'm happy to report we already have over 300. So we're halfway there with about a month and a half left. So want to continue to encourage people to sign up for that project. Our next athletic competition is our MLB Pitch Hit and Run on Sunday, April 23rd. That'll be from 4 to 9. We look forward to our Little Leagues participating in that. And then, as I mentioned in my last report, the Youth Advisory Committee has decided that they would like to do a fundraiser to potentially raise some funds for next year's initiatives, one of which is the anti-bullying campaigns and programs. So they're going to be working with a program called Comedy for Causes. And what they do is they bring out clean comedians to put on a show. And the funds that come in for those shows is split between Comedy for Causes and the Youth Advisory Committee. So this will be a great opportunity for them to start strong for next year's initiatives that they'd like to create. And the great thing about this, too, is that we were able to form a partnership with the Lions Club of Menifee and BJ's. And it's not only going to be a comedy show, but it's also going to be dinner. So for $15, you'll be able to experience a nice, clean comedy. You can bring your whole family and enjoy a nice dinner for the whole family. So that'll be on Thursday, April 27th. From 5 to 9 at Case Siniceros. The tickets are actually being run through a third-party website called it's www.universe.com/Menifee Comedy, and we have that on the screen here. So really want to encourage everybody to get their tickets soon because we anticipate selling out. So and that concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. That's a very nice report. And yesterday's event did go really well. I want to congratulate everybody.
Yeah, definitely.
Well done, very organized. I think everybody had a great time.
Good to hear. Thank you. Commissioner.
Pardon me, Commissioner Holcomb.
Yeah, I just have one thing. Robert, is it Skates and Sounds? Is that actually on Friday or Saturday?
Yeah, it's on Friday, March 23rd.
Okay, is it 24th? I think it's Friday.
Okay, I think it might be a day off. Yeah, it's on
I just
Friday.
don't want to advertise it, incorrectly.
Yeah, we'll make sure that's correct on the flyer. But it's going to be on Fridays.
On a Friday, okay.
I think it's going to be the third Friday of each month. And again, we're just ironing out the details of the dates for the rest of the year.
Capital improvements, item 9.4.
Yes. Good evening, Commissioners, Commissioner Chair. As you know, we've been busy over at the AMR Skate Park, gearing that up for the opening of yesterday's grand reopening, I guess. Staff has been really busy doing all kinds of good stuff out there. As you can see in these pictures, we've taken off the roof and the corrugated tin on that one side to kind of open it up and brighten down up this shade structure, at least from our camera vantage point also that's on that one pole. As you can see on that bottom picture, it really opened it up. The center picture shows the camera, the speaker, and the IR lights on the pole itself. And I've used the speaker quite a bit now. Yes, just making everybody know that we see them and they can hear us. As you can see, Kenny's up on the roof there, all harnessed up, trying to get the screws off the corrugated tin there, get that up, and just that big tongue and groove. I think it was like 1.5 inch thick tongue and groove underneath that corrugated metal there, and it was a hard job, and these guys took care of that, and it was a great job. Also continuing at the skate park, the little cutoff walls there and the entry were damaged, so we took off the damaged caps that were put in by the developer, and staff went in there and just went in and poured a new cap over that and stained it to make it match the appearance of the existing block. And then we did cobble in certain areas where the residents or skaters were cutting the corners and the sidewalks. So that really cleaned it up and really beautified that whole side there. Especially if you see the bottom right corner picture at Newport, they're exiting the park. That was a really eyesore. And then also the bottom center picture, if you can see behind the boulders, that all new cobble was replaced the planter that used to be there. So when it rained, all that dirt would just wash down into the skate park. So that's going to really help clean that site up and keep it full of, or keep the mud out of the skate park bowls. And then we also went in and added the fencing around the cul-de-sacs. That fencing was completed today finally, and the picture on the left is the cul-de-sac. What's the name of it? White Plains. And the picture on the right is Gallup Court. And then
I want to talk to you about that.
I'm sorry?
Yesterday, I want to talk to you about this. Yesterday, when I was coming to the event, I went past the cul-de-sac closest to the soccer field, and here's 2 fire trucks and a fireman looking at me saying, hey, hey, hey. He says, how do we get in here? And I was like, let me find out. He says, the way this thing's set up, we can't unlock it from our side if there's an emergency. He says, I've already had 2 broken ankles at this park. What are we supposed to do? And I came and saw Director Lennox. The firemen, when I went back to talk to them, I said, circle around, come in over the top and walk in, which they did. He said with the schools, they have access by way of a key, so you can come in from one side if they need to, and I guess it would pertain to the sheriff too. So I wanted to make a very strong recommendation that we get something together with them so that if there is an emergency, they're able to get access, just for them.
Yes, right. Actually, I talked to a member of the fire department yesterday, and he was, we discussed Knox box that's at the entry of the skate park itself already, and that key also opens the gates up at the cul-de-sac. He's going to follow up with the chief and see if we have to actually have an additional Knox box at the gates. So once we get his feedback, then we'll follow through. We might have to modify the locking box on the gates so you can do it from either side of the fence. So
Right, I saw
there's
there
a little
was a padlock
modification.
inside,
Right.
something you could only reach it from the one side.
Right,
That's
yeah.
called a Knox box? Like
No,
Fort
that is
Knox?
not the Knox box. The Knox box is a separate box that either residents, businesses use, that fire departments have a key to. And you put your key in there for whatever gate, door that you want them to access when you're not there. So if there's an emergency, PD goes, unlocks the box, gets the key out, and opens the door.
Oh, I see.
So that's what that is. So we have one at the front entryway of the skate park now, with the key to the gates that are around the outside, cul-de-sacs, and behind the maintenance gate at the skate park itself. So if they need access for now, someone will have to come in and get it. But like I said, we're waiting for feedback from the fire department to see what they want us to do.
I was really surprised that they were asking me what to do. So that next time we get together, maybe you can bring us up to date on that.
Sure,
Hopefully we'll have
okay.
it resolved. Thank you.
You're welcome. The bottom picture there, you see where we added the wrought iron fence that closes off the area that leads down by the walking trail along that wash. So, and I believe Public Works took that red curbing off by now. So give those residents their parking spots back. And this capital improvement project, this was at Lazy Creek. We had two playgrounds there, and they were heavily used. The paint was coming off. Some of the pieces of the equipment, of the playground equipment, were damaged or just old. So what Bryce did is went ahead and started working with the contractor to get the pieces, the replacement pieces we can get for both of those playgrounds. And once we secured the pieces, we took it all apart. We secured a contract for a painter to come in and paint the poles that were left. And as you can see, there's not a before and after picture here, but once the paint dried up, I think we had to give it 7 days for the paint to dry. It's some kind of special paint. And then staff started putting in all the new pieces back together, even in the rain, as you can see in the picture on the top left, well, on the easy up. But a very great, successful project. This is the other secondary piece there. And as you can see, once we opened it up, everybody started using this nice, beautiful piece of equipment. So I just want to thank staff, Bryce Howell over there, the supervisor of recreation, maintenance. He does a great job running the crews. And actually, staff just learned how to do that patching on the rubberized surface, the top centerpiece there, picture. We're replacing the rubberized piece that was worn out, and we put in a new rubberized surface there, wear layer. And at this point, I'll pass it over to Bryce Howell.
Good evening, Commission. As you can see, well, most of our work this past month was, a lot of it, I guess should say, was there at the skate park, finishing that playground, and then there at the skate park, finishing that up for our opening. We're at 100% of our this month completion for our work orders, 99% for the year total for our work orders. Other than the skate park and the playground, this is one of the historical monuments we put in at AMR Park. It's up at the restroom, up by the restroom facility at the main parking lot there. This is Eleanor Martin. This is actually it was the James Farrell monument. James Farrell Ranch used to be up, I believe, right there in that AMR neighborhood. That was actually her great-grandfather that she's standing next to, that we did that there for. So that just shows I think he was here since 1887, or not here since, but the family was there in the Menifee from 1887. So that was just our staff bringing that in. I just wanted to show a good picture of her in there. So I know Commissioner Zimmerman probably knows a little bit more about that.
You pretty much got it right. He was the
Okay.
original homesteader of the Audie Murphy Ranch.
Okay, and that's completes my report.
Well, thank you. And that brings us then to item number 10, Commissioner Reports on Committee Activities. Have we got any reports tonight?
I do.
Excellent. Commissioner Zimmerman.
Thank you. So, as Jason had mentioned, I did attend that junior NBA skills competition. I just want to thank staff for working hand in hand with the Boys and Girls Club. I think that's a great collaboration, opportunity to use the gym over there at the middle school. And I'm going to be working with some of those kids as a Boys and Girls Club board member, working on some of those technical skills. A lot of the boys weren't following their shots, and girls too, and bouncing with two hands and watching the ball, and just a lot of that stuff. So John basically said it would be great to have somebody over there in the afternoon. So I'm going to start doing that. And so when we do this again next year, hopefully we're going to see some kids with a little bit better skills. And then yesterday was a great event at the Audie Murphy Skate. I just wanted to mention, and thanks for all the hard work and effort over there. I did notice on those two cul-de-sacs that there was only about 3 cars parked on them, even at a great big event like this. So the gates worked, and I'm sure that those residents that live on those 2 streets are going to be happy that there's not some of the issues that they had brought up with people out in front of their houses. And then finally, I just wanted to make it clear to the clerk and to the community services director that I won't be able to make the next Parks, Rec, and Trails Commission meeting. I got a special MSJC meeting that that night, so I'm not going to make it. That's all I have.
Commissioner Holcomb.
Yes, a couple of weeks ago, along with Commissioner Rosen, I had the honor of participating in the MCAC. And at that meeting, we went through the process of recommending to the council that various very worthy nonprofit organizations be awarded CDBG. So that was my first one, and really, again, thanks for the opportunity to do so.
Glad it went well. And any other commissioner reports? Commissioner Rosen.
I must apologize, I think, I really intended to come to the grand reopening of the skate park, but unfortunately, the hospital I went to decided to put a cast on my left leg, and I can barely move. So, I do apologize.
So we're sorry you couldn't make it.
You're excused.
Yeah, you're off the hook.
I'd rather have gone.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Okay, well, then we'll move on to the next item, which is number 11, future agenda requests from commissioners. Have we got any requests?
No.
Director Lennox.
If the commission doesn't mind, I would like to add to a future meeting a update on our turf conversion project. If not at the next meeting, then it'd be the first meeting in April. We've got some significant advances in the design work, so we'd like to bring that forward just to show you. There's been fine-tuning changes to the various park sites that we want to make sure you're aware of before it goes out to bid.
That's appreciated. That'd be great.
Agreed.
And just a question, we've got to get that work done by summer, beginning of summer, right?
June 30th is the deadline, yes, and so far we are on task for that.
Great, thank you.
Are there any news developments about what's going on with Valleywide and putting the Newport back in order?
Yes, you probably saw along Newport, they've started the south side of the street, and the north side, I guess technically is just about done. They had some punch list items on the north side. South side, they've begun work. I think more so, though, you're likely interested in the other street areas, so Antelope, Menifee, and La Piedra. They have not started work on those yet, although the city did approve their plans. I think it was almost 3.5 weeks ago. So they have permits to begin work. They just have not started that yet.
I recall they said they had to meet a certain deadline to get the plans going or they wouldn't get the funding.
I recall that, too.
Okay, thank you. Just a request, when we see these spreadsheet that shows us the progress of every developer, if we could have a glossary of those terms, because there's a lot of terms, Mylars received, all the other things that are posted on there, maybe something to help us to see the sequence and also what these various things mean. Sometimes it gets a little daunting.
Sure.
That'd be appreciated. And for other people who are probably looking at it while we're having a meeting, saying, what does that mean? Okay, any other further discussion? If not, this meeting is...
Hold on.
Oh, Commissioner
I
Ralston.
was just wondering if we're still on Valleywide for March?
Yes, the meeting is set for March 23rd. The location is yet to be determined. I believe they set that usually about 3 weeks prior. We would hope that it's, more local this time, maybe EMWD boardroom, but we'll wait and see. It's 9:30 in the morning, just like before, and it's a continuation of the public hearing. It's open to the public, so we're hoping we get plenty of people there.
I'm hoping it is local, otherwise I won't be able to make it that day.
I have one more.
Oh, and Commissioner Zimmerman.
Thank you. Can we get an update? Maybe Derek can tell us what the plan is of the sequence with this new digital boardroom. So will we be getting a paper agenda packet at our next one? I don't know how you plan on weaning us off of the old plan and cutting the umbilical cord and all that.
You won't be getting a paper agenda anymore. All the agendas will be distributed. When she publishes the agenda, you'll get an email saying the agenda is ready, and that's when you can go online and log in via the directions we handed out at the first training session. Log in, and you'll be able to see the agenda, make notes on the agenda, and so on and so forth. And then when you come into here and log into your iPad, those notes and everything will be available for you.
Starting next meeting.
Starting your next meeting, correct?
Thank you.
And then those notes will remain with the agenda. In other words, if I make some personal comments in the column for myself,
At home.
I'll be at home, and then later on, after the meeting has finished, I'll still be able to flip back to those, say, a month or two later if I want to?
That's correct.
Okay,
That's
great.
correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? If not, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.